Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Our star tonight is Mr. Sidney Greenstreet, one of Hollywood's most sensational newcomers in a number of years. The famed fat man who lent his suspenseful talents to the Maltese Falcon and across the Pacific. Mr. Greenstreet is with us to create on the air John Dixon Carr's celebrated detective, Dr. Gideon Fell. The story called The Hangman Won't Wait is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with The Hangman Won't Wait and Mr. Greenstreet's performance. We again hope to keep you in suspense. He comes striding towards us now, beaming like old King Cole. You can probably hear him chuckle. If he wheezes a little, that's due to weighing more than 300 pounds.
Slander, sir, gross slander.
You notice the 3 chins in the bandit's mustache and the eyeglasses on the black ribbon. He removes his hat with old-school courtesy. Don't try to bow, Doctor. He is Gideon Fell, Doctor of Philosophy and expert in crime, if he tells us something about the Barton case.
Sir, I've only one remark to make about the Barton case. Everybody was wrong.
I'm afraid we don't quite follow that.
The judge was wrong, the jury were wrong, the prosecution was wrong, the defense was wrong.
But, Dr. Fell, you can't have a murder case in which everybody is wrong.
In my cases, sir, you can have practically anything.
Oh, yes, that's true enough, but,
I want you to imagine yourself in the position of that girl, Helen Barton.
Well?
Imagine yourself waking up suddenly in the middle of the night. You're terrified. You don't know why. The room is cold and nearly dark. All of a sudden, you realize it's a room you've never seen before. There's a queer smell like old stone and disinfectant. There's no sound except...
What is it? What was that?
Now lean back in your bed, dearie. It's all right.
Yes, take it easy, miss.
I was dreaming.
You were having a nightmare, dearie. But it's all right now. Nothing's going to hurt you.
Not yet.
Be quiet, Anna.
All right, all right. Would you like us to turn on all the lights, miss?
Please, would you do that? You see, I don't understand this. Where am I, and how did I get here? And who are you?
Now, don't start that all over again, please.
Start what all over again?
Saying you've lost your memory and don't even know what your name is?
Are you insane? Of course I know what my name is. I'm Helen Barton.
Ah.
But it's all I do know. Where am I? Why on earth is it so cold?
Well, that's not unusual, you know, for England in the middle of December.
Did you say December?
That's right, dearie. 18th of December.
You're fooling me. You're playing a trick on me. My head feels queer and I want to start crying, but I won't. It's not December, it's the end of August. I was going up to see Philip. Oh, that's it. I was going up to see Philip.
Philip?
Philip Gale, the man I'm going to marry.
Be quiet, Anna. And don't turn on these lights yet.
She's having us on.
Anna, this child's shaking all over. And so help me, she don't know where she is. Listen, dearie. I'm going to sit down on the bed beside you. Now take my hands. Hold them tight.
What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?
This is Maidhurst Prison, miss.
Steady, dearie.
I'm still dreaming. I must be. You can't mean I'm in prison.
Now look, dearie. I'm afraid it's worse than that.
Worse than that?
Look over there. You see where there's a little bit of fire in the grate?
Well,
And paper on the wall, and pictures, and a carpet on the floor.
Oh, why don't you come out straight and tell her? They're going to hang you in the morning, miss. This is the condemned cell.
With sudden shock, the prison clock smote on the shivering air. But I won't quote that any further. I have too vivid a memory of sitting up that night with Colonel Andrews, the governor of the prison. Over here, you'd call him the warden. There's a little office with a lamp shade tilted so that I could see his face. And he said,
I hate executions, loathe them. Can't even sleep the night before. If you hadn't offered to come here and save my life...
"This is a strange place, sir, to talk of saving lives."
No, it's no good being sentimental about the thing. That's the law. I didn't make it.
But I gather you're not exactly happy about this case.
I'm not. That's a fact. Mind you, there's no doubt whatever about the girl's guilt.
I'm gratified to hear it.
But if only she'd confess. Most of them do, you know.
They confess to you?
To me or to the hangman. Not often to the chaplain, because they think he'll threaten them with the hereafter. But when Kirkwood goes in with the strap to bind their arm, he says to him, I don't like to think I'm doing something that would be on my conscience. So if you'd care to tell me...
Quite a sensitive fellow you are, Hangman.
Now, look here, I'm serious.
So am I.
Sometimes I wish I had any job in the world but mine. If only the girl would confess. If she'd just stop this nonsense about not remembering.
Not remembering what?
Not remembering how... Well, not remembering how she shot Philip Gale. Not remembering anything, even her own name. Total amnesia, covering a crime.
Sir, you frighten me. You mean to say that a woman suffering from loss of memory can be tried and sentenced to death?
No. Not if she really has lost her memory.
Well, then...
But this defense was a fake.
You're quite sure of that?
Naturally. The judge would never have allowed it to come to trial if he hadn't been convinced that she was shamming. Even then, she might have got off with a life sentence or even with manslaughter if it hadn't been for the nature of the crime.
She didn't cut anybody up, I hope.
No, but it was almost as bad. She shot a man who had raised his hands and begged for mercy. That completely damned her in the eyes of the jury.
And yet, you have doubts.
I tell you, I haven't any doubts. And in any case, it's none of my business.
How has she acted since she's been here?
Oh, a model prisoner. But I wish she'd stop this business of seeming to be in a daze. It's getting on my nerves.
Rather think the prison itself would get on my nerves. I looked into your execution shed once, and I don't want to look again.
Oh, you get used to it after a while.
Helen Barton won't. Tell me about her.
Nice girl, too. I knew her grandfather.
Live near here?
Yes. Born and bred in Maidhurst. She got mixed up with a thoroughgoing swine named Philip Gale. Crazy about him. Wouldn't hear a word against him. Then he threw her over for a woman with money.
I see.
He had a bungalow on White Rose Hill. She went up there one Sunday afternoon.
Alone?
Yes. Herbert Gale, Philip's brother, heard them screaming at each other. He ran in to see what was wrong. Philip was trying to chase the girl out. She grabbed a .32 revolver out of the table drawer and told Philip to put up his hands. That scared him, and he did put up his hands. Then she shot him dead.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, she couldn't remember.
Couldn't remember anything?
No, pretended she didn't even recognize her own family. She said, "Who is Philip Gale?"
Mm-hmm. And you hang her tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Without ever hearing her side of the case?
Well, confound it, man, there's no doubt about the evidence.
Are you sure?
She killed Philip Gale. Gale's brother Herbert saw her do it. This hypocrisy about not remembering.
Emotional shock could do just that, you know.
Oh, she wasn't so emotionally shocked that it disturbed her aim. She drilled him clean through the heart at 15 feet. The bullet entered in a dead straight line through coat, waistcoat, shirt, and heart. You could have run a pencil through the holes. Now, don't sit there puffing out your cheeks and waving a cigar at me. I'm only...
Tell me, Colonel Andrews, aren't you talking to convince yourself?
No.
Suppose that girl is telling the truth. Suppose she has lost her memory.
Yeah.
All right. You don't believe that. Suppose it. And suppose in some black hour just before the hangman comes that a memory returns.
Don't talk rubbish.
But I've lived long enough to know that mental suffering is the cruelest form of suffering on this earth. Imagine yourself in that position. Come out of a daze into what you thought was a safe and pleasant world. You don't know where you are. You don't know what's happened. You only know that when the clock strikes 8, they're going to take you out and...
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yes.
It isn't possible.
Very much fear it is.
Sometimes, you know, we have to use drugs.
Drugs?
Yes. When we take them to the execution shed. It's only a short distance, and we try to get it over in a matter of seconds, but sometimes they can't walk. Yes? What is it?
Beg pardon, sir, but I thought I'd better get you, or the doctor, or the chaplain, or both.
Oh, what's the matter with you men? You're as white as a ghost.
Can't help that, sir. I've been a warder at this place for a matter of 15 years, but I never knew anything like this.
It's the, upstairs room, I suppose, Miss Barton?
Yes, sir.
Hysterical?
Yes, sir. She says she remembers now.
I see.
She's carrying on something awful, sir. But that ain't all. She claims she never done it.
What's that?
She claims she never killed Mr. Gale at all.
Never killed?
That's all, Harris. You may go.
Yes, sir.
Any other disturbances in the building?
Well, sir, they're a bit restless in A wing.
That's usual.
Yes, sir. And there's a bloke, outside the prison, I mean, who keeps hanging about in front of the main gate. You can see him by the street lamp. First, he'll take a few little quick steps back and forth. Then he'll run and stick his face against the bars of the gate. Then he'll go back to pacing again. Fair gave me the creeps, it did, even before this other thing.
You don't happen to know who he is?
It's the other Mr. Gale, sir. Herbert Gale. I hadn't the heart to chase him away.
All right, Harris, go ahead. I'll be along in a minute.
Yes, sir.
So the girl claims to be innocent. You heard that, eh?
Yes, I heard it.
What do you mean to do?
I'll see the girl, of course. But it won't affect the issue.
Not even if she does happen to be innocent?
Well, in the name of heaven, try to understand my position.
Believe me, I do understand it. The jury convicted this girl of murder. Her appeal was dismissed. The Home Secretary has refused to intervene on behalf of the King. You couldn't do anything even if you wanted to. You couldn't even appeal to the Home Secretary without new evidence.
Exactly.
And it's too late for new evidence, because you can't just accept the word of Helen Barton.
All the same, I'm dreading this interview. It's against regulations, but I wish you'd come along with me.
Oh, if there were only something.
There isn't. Where's the whiskey? I think a little stimulant.
She will need the stimulant.
Well, it's a cold night.
It'll be colder yet where she's going.
I didn't do it.
Steady, miss.
It's all right, dearie. The governor and the big stout gentleman believe you didn't do it.
Oh, no, they don't. You needn't try to fool me. Look at them over there in the corner whispering.
Phil, she's lying.
I heard that. You said, Phil, she's lying, but I'm not lying. I'm not.
Miss, you've got to pull yourself together.
And have a nice breakfast. What would you like for breakfast?
Breakfast? You can have anything you want for breakfast this morning. Anything at all.
Please listen to me. When I first woke up, I didn't even remember Philip was dead. I thought I was still going to marry him. Then it came back to me.
Yes?
I remember standing outside Philip's bungalow on a hot day with the sun in my eyes. I heard a shot inside the bungalow. I ran to the living room and found Philip lying on the floor by the couch with his mouth open and blood in his chest. But that's all I do remember. Something hit me.
Something hit you?
On the head. Or that's what it seemed like. Please!
The doctors found no injury to your head.
I tell you...
One moment. Miss Barton, can you forgive the intrusion of an old duffer who sincerely wants to help you?
I'm sorry, Dr. Fell. I'll try to be sensible.
You know who I am?
Everybody knows those eyeglasses and that mustache. But I thought you were always laughing. If you can find anything to laugh about in this situation.
Believe me, Miss Barton, I am not laughing. Now, tell me, when you arrived at the bungalow, Philip Gale was already dead?
Yes.
You didn't go up there to quarrel with him?
No. And why should I have killed him anyway? I only went to tell him I was through, finished, fed up with him. What's the use?
They haven't told you, then, that there's a witness who claims to have seen you shoot Gale?
A witness? Who?
Herbert Gale.
But that's a lie.
You didn't take a .32 revolver out of the table drawer?
This is the first time I've even heard of any revolver. Please believe that.
You didn't order Philip to put up his hands? And then when he did put up his hands...
High over his head?
You didn't shoot him from a distance of about 15 feet?
No!
Your fingerprints are on the revolver. You were still holding it in your hand when Herbert brought a policeman.
Just who is this brother, this Herbert Gale?
Well, he's the good member of the family.
Now steady, dearie.
I can't help it. Herbert is the good boy, whereas Philip was the bad one. He's younger than Philip, terribly respectable, pillar of the church, never smokes or drinks. Has to work hard because Philip inherited what money they had. Oh, let me laugh. It's too funny.
Herbert's word certainly carries weight.
It's carried weight against me, hasn't it? Why should he want to get me hanged? Why should he tell such a complete pack of lies?
Yes, I wonder why.
Every second I imagine I'm going to wake up and find myself back in the living room again, looking at Philip's body, just standing and staring at it and feeling sick, and of all things to think about at a time like that, wondering why he was wearing a waistcoat on such a hot day.
What's the matter with you, fella?
Why is that stout gentleman rolling his eyes like that?
Off his rocker, if you ask me.
Archons of Athens, what an idiot I've been. What a turn-up, what a dunce.
Lower your voice.
The murdered man was wearing a waistcoat. You told me so yourself.
Well, what if I did?
The murdered man was wearing a waistcoat on a hot day. Grasp that beautiful fact. Keep it in splendor before you. 3 hours of sheer nightmare, and all because I never thought of the waistcoat.
Lummy, Hannah, he really is off his jump.
Let me ask you just one thing. What happened to the court exhibits in the Gale case?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we've still got them. The case was tried at Madehurst Sessions House, you know.
You still got them?
Certainly, but...
Sir, let me shake your hand. Let me slap you on the back. Let me, if necessary, set you on my shoulder and carry you out of here in triumph. Let me take you by the hand.
Just a minute, my friend. Stop a bit.
I beg your pardon?
Have you forgotten where you are?
No.
Well, let's face the fact. The prisoner has been told that there's no hope.
Please!
And I'm sorry, but there it is. The cruelest thing you could do would be to raise hopes that I can't fulfill. Do you understand that? I
understand it only too well.
This can't be pleasant for any of us. There's nothing in the evidence that justifies any change of the plan.
Except, of course, that the girl isn't guilty.
Can you prove that?
To my own satisfaction, yes.
That's not good enough.
Very well. Suppose I proved it to you, conclusively, mind, out of evidence you gave me yourself. What would you do?
Are you bluffing?
No, speak up, man. What would you do?
Well, that's easy. Phone the Home Secretary and ask for a stay of execution.
Could you get in touch with him at this hour of the morning?
Easily. There's a private line in my office to his country house. But I warn you that...
Dr. Fell, is there any hope for me? Is there any hope for me?
I warn you, they won't accept fancy theories. They only accept facts.
I shall be happy, sir, to cram the facts down their throats. One final point, Miss Barton. How tall is the estimable Mr. Herbert Gale?
How tall?
Yes. Is he anything like the same height as his brother Philip?
They're about the same height, 5'10", but I don't see how this...
If I remember correctly, one of the warders told us that Herbert Gale has been hanging around the front gate all night. I should very much like to speak with him. Colonel Andrews, will you send someone out and ask him to come into your office?
I can't do that.
Why not?
It's against regulations. He'd have to get a special pass.
Then write him one. Curse it all, can't you get it through your correct military head that an innocent person is going to swing in less than 2 hours?
Dr. Fell, I don't know what you're trying to do, but can you do it?
My dear, I can't tell.
But are you going to try?
I am going downstairs now. Maybe, in a very short time, a certain gentleman will be entering this institution without any need of a pass. But don't hope for anything. Don't hope for anything. Less than an hour to go. Why doesn't that warder come and bring the exhibit I want? What's delaying him?
Probably can't find the stuff.
But you said you had it here.
Things like that are apt to get mislaid. It's been a month since the trial. Must you have these exhibits?
In order to prove it to you fully, yes. But if he doesn't come in 2 seconds more...
I can't stay here much longer myself. The chaplain is with her now, but I'll have to take over before the end. Yes? Come in.
Sorry to have been so long, sir. I could have sworn it was in one place, and lo and behold, it turned up somewhere else.
Never mind that. Did you get the exhibits?
It's all here, sir, in this suit box. Where shall I put it?
Put it on Colonel Andrews' desk. Now, let's see. Move the lamp over here, will you?
And about Mr. Herbert Gale, sir?
Where is he?
Out in the hall, sir. Do you want to see him now?
Yes, my lad, very much so. Ask him to come in.
You can come in, sir. This way.
Thank you.
Morning, Herbert. Glad to see you. Sit down.
Thank you, Colonel Andrews.
Let me have your hat and coat. This is Dr. Gideon Fell.
Hello.
The warder said you wanted to see me. I came, of course, but do you think it was quite the right thing to do?
Why not?
Well, people might think I was holding a grudge against Helen, because of Phil, you know.
And you don't hold a grudge?
Oh, good Lord, no. I really don't. I pity that poor girl from the bottom of my heart. I only wish I hadn't had to testify against her, but what else could I do?
You mean you'd like to help her, even now?
Of course. If there were anything I could do to soothe her last moments on earth...
There is something you can do, Mr. Gale.
Well?
You can come with us to the condemned cell.
Are you joking?
No.
But wouldn't it be pretty horrible for Helen?
Yes, probably. But as you point out, she has only a very short time to live.
Excuse me, what have you got in that suit box?
In this suit box, Mr. Gale? A flattened bullet, the bullet that killed your brother, a .32 revolver, a tweed coat, bloodstained, a tweed waistcoat, also bloodstained.
Look here, Phil. What do you expect to prove with that stuff?
One moment. Will Mr. Herbert Gale go with us to the condemned cell?
Yes, if you think I can do any good there.
Then, with your permission, I propose to prove that a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Will you walk into my parlor?
Half an hour to go. Easy, dearie, easy.
They're not coming already to... Herbert Gale.
I'm very sorry for you, Helen. Please believe that.
Thank you.
I shouldn't have intruded at this painful time, believe me. But Dr. Fell and the Colonel here made me come to see you.
You mean you've come to confess?
Confess? What should I confess?
You didn't see me shoot Phil. You know you didn't.
I'm sorry, Helen. I pity you, and I bear no malice. But you did shoot poor old Phil after you'd asked him to put up his hands.
How high did he put up his hands?
I beg your pardon?
Dr. Fell said, how high did he put up his hands?
Really? Is there any purpose in going over all this in the last few minutes before the hangman comes in?
Please.
We can demonstrate still further with a little experiment. I have here a blood-stained tweed coat and a blood-stained waistcoat. You see them, Mr. Gale?
I see them, yes.
Take off your own coat and waistcoat. Put on this coat and this waistcoat.
I'll do no such thing.
Why not?
Colonel Andrews, I appeal to you.
Where's the harm in it?
Unless he's got something to hide.
I've got nothing to hide. Give me the things. I'll put them on.
Thank you.
I don't know why you're doing this. It's the nightmare again. But if something isn't proved very soon, what time is it?
20 minutes to 8, miss. Easy now.
There. Does that satisfy you, Dr. Fell? Philip's coat and waistcoat fit me very well.
So I was told. Would you care to tell us now why you killed your brother? It was the money you inherited, I suppose. When Helen Barton walked into the middle of your crime, you knocked her out with a weapon that left no bruise and put the revolver in her hand. Then you discovered, as a gift from heaven, that she really had lost her memory. Mr. Herbert Gale could tell any lying story he liked.
Be careful. You can't prove that.
Would you like to make a small bet I can't prove it?
Yes.
Very well. I am threatening you with a gun, Mr. Gale. Hold up your hands.
No. Oh.
You better do it, Herbert. You better do it.
Hold up your hands. That's it, but higher. Higher. Now, look at his coat, everybody. Look at his coat.
The coat it's rising.
Of course it is. The bullet hole in the coat, do you notice, rises with it. But the waistcoat doesn't move.
I think I begin to see.
The bullet hole in the coat has risen at least 4 inches above the correspondent hole in the waistcoat. Yet the bullet, you told me, penetrated in a dead straight line. Therefore, Philip Gale could not possibly have had his hands raised when he was shot.
Colonel Andrews, sir.
Yes, Harris?
I thought I'd better tell you, sir, that the hangman's here.
Herbert Gale told you he saw Miss Barton shoot a man whose hands were raised high in the air. It prevented any possible plea of manslaughter. It condemned that girl to death. Destroy that single lie, and you destroy the whole case.
Is it true, Colonel Andrews? Is it true?
I tell you, sir, the hangman's here.
Harris, do you know the private telephone line in my office?
Yes, sir.
Get me the Home Secretary.
Fine. And, Warder.
Yes, Dr. Fell?
Tell the hangman he'll have to wait. This young lady has most inconsiderately been proved innocent. But his services will be required just the same. It'll be a little later, and with the new client.
You've been listening to American Radio Theater's presentation of The Hangman Won't Wait, a lost episode from the old-time radio show Suspense, directed and produced by Joy Jackson. In our cast you heard Dan Schindler as the Man in Black, Ken Leese as Dr. Fell, Liz Roach as Lizzie, Beth Slansky as Hannah, Karen Leese as the narrator, Jennifer Newton as Helen, Pat McNally as Colonel Andrews, Fred Hopkins as the warder, Dave Leese as Herbert Gale. Live sound effects by Penny Swanberg and Marilyn Wilt. Music from the original series. This episode was originally broadcast on the series Suspense on CBS on February 9th, 1943. It was published in Ellery McQueen's Mystery Magazine in September 1944. I'm Linda Rasmussen, your announcer. This is ART, American Radio Theater.